This is CG Ruthless Sports. I will be brutally honest. Ain't nothing but being brutally honest. Coming at you with another video. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Let's welcome our guest, Gina Reppingindabay. How's it going? It's good to see you.
Hey, CG, what's up?
I know, right? How's it going? And where can people find you on social media platform?
Well, I'm everywhere with the same at GinaReppingindabay.
Yeah, repping the Bay. Speaking of repping the Bay, I just saw you at that Niners and Saints game, by the way.
Hell yeah. It was so awesome to finally meet you in person, and especially because I had you on my show. And so now I'm glad that I could sort of return the favor by being on your show.
I know. That's the great favor. I was on your show like months ago. It was a great experience. It was pretty fun. But a lot of people have said that I'm pretty much looking short, like they would think I look short in person, but I'm about 6'3". I'm a big dude.
Right. I'm miniature compared to you since I'm 4'11 and a half, but meeting your wife was awesome, and she's short too.
Yeah, she's short, but she's got that little energy, the energy for that team.
Oh yes, she definitely does, and I was honored to meet her too because she's awesome. We hugged each other right away too, so I love that.
Yeah, she's a sweetheart in her own ways. That's all it is. It was a great experience to take her during her birthday week too. So it's her first time going to a Niners game. She's never been to an NFL game, but she's been to a couple Fresno State games, and I thought she hasn't lost a Fresno State game, so maybe I'll take her for this game.
Yeah, go Bulldogs, right?
Yeah, I guess so. Like, she just hasn't lost a game all season. So I'm like, okay, I could take her with me at the Niners game. Let's see how that works.
Good luck charm for sure.
Yeah, so everybody else is here. We got Brian Cope with those fires with the raccoon, which I am kind of like that style-wise. Let's see. We got Roberto. We got David McNew, my boy from Utah, my Mormon brother. He doesn't joke around. But,
I love the Reppin' a Bay Empire podcast, because similar name. Hey, I mean, great minds think alike, right?
Yeah, they sure do. And you've been repping the Bay forever. You've been telling me you've been repping all Bay Area teams like since when?
Well, I mean, I'm a third generation San Francisco native, and not embarrassed to say that I'm 48 years old. So I've seen all 5 Super Bowls, the hoisting of the Lombardis, and dying to see that 6th. I know we're getting it this season. I feel it. I've called it several times on my own podcast. But and yes, since I was 7, I've been partying in the streets of San Francisco on Mission Street, front of Safeway, Mission and 30th. And I remember I was like, what is going on? Why are these people crazy? My uncle had face paint, shirt off. He was just like in the middle of the street, and I'm going, what's my uncle doing? And ever since then, it was family tradition. And I'm a 49ers fan first and Warriors fan second, but then kind of like Giants fan somewhere in the tied, because I went to the 2010 Giants parade, and I had front row seats. And at that time, the parade was on Montgomery Street first, so it was amazing. And so I just got to say, like, and of course, like, I've never been to a San Jose Sharks game, but Like, I wanna get a jersey. I wanna get, like, I think Patrick, Marleau would be my first jersey, but, or yeah, I don't know, maybe like, a controversial jersey, like, Evan, but, anyway, I'm just saying, but, yeah, so I think I would totally, go, like, just rep the Bay all day, no matter what, and hey, even the Earthquakes, San Jose Earthquakes, you know what I'm saying?
Oh,
So
soccer team, right?
yeah, like, let's go. I when I used to do my old podcast on IE Sports Radio, I even did college teams. Stanford, women's Stanford basketball team. I did play-by-plays for that for the game like last season, even though they didn't get all the way up. Uh they got beat, but it's all good. But yeah, I was doing Fresno State and the you know Cal Berkeley. Like I know all the colleges. So yeah, I rep in the NorCal too.
That's cool. Like, I know this sounds kind of like, I like mostly all the Bay Area teams except the Warriors, because I'm not really
Oh
like,
yeah. You're a Lakers
I
fan, right?
yeah, I don't know, I just followed them when it was Kobe's era, didn't
Mhm.
really didn't really found a purpose for basketball because all I knew was just hearing Michael Jordan's name from the Bulls. But my brother was a big fan of the Bulls. But then I started watching basketball when they started playing the Bulls or something like that, and I started like watching how Kobe and the rest of those guys played. And I guess ever since then, I just followed them. So it's like I
Yeah.
know we don't look good this year. I know we suck. And I've kind of said it from time to time until LeBron James leaves. I don't see no future with the Lakers. It's like I could take my L's and lumps and move forward with it, because we ain't doing nothing. I think the Warriors are kind of building something with a team around. I've heard a lot of criticism with the teammates and all that stuff, but hey, I've seen you had one of my favorite guys from the 97 what is it 95-7 the game,
But
Bonte Hill. You
mhm.
had him on your show a couple of occasions, and you know the guy personally.
Yes. And just to also let you know that I actually was, low key Bulls, riding on the bandwagon in the, late 80s, early 90s with because Michael Jordan, I mean, the GOAT, in my opinion. I mean, it's certainly over LeBron, and that's controversial within itself. But I just wanted to make a note of that. But yeah, Bonte and I, like, we have I met him through my brothers, and he actually went he was with my brother Ryan at the NFC championship game last season at SoFi, and they had the what's called the mafia breakfast. It's kind of cool, and so it was like this whole hashtag thing. And Shasky was there, and also my brother Mike, his nickname is called Bird Chest. Don't ask me how he got
Oh, okay,
that.
that's a cool name.
Yeah, and so, they know each other too, and then, I was actually invited by the station manager, I guess now he's called the brand manager at 95.7 The Game, Matt Nahegan, to go to the fan takeover in 2019, which actually took place in 2020. And I took pictures with Bonte and all them, and that was so much fun. So I was like, "Yeah, I'm Mike's and Ryan's, sister," and he's like, "Oh yeah." So now we just chit chat and all that, and I've called the station. I've said my little hey opinions and whatnot, and so I'm like, Bonte, I got to get you on the podcast. He's like, just give me the time, and I'll fit it in. So it's pretty cool.
Yeah, he seems like a really good dude when it comes to like talking on the station. I've actually kind of called different times on his radio station, and he kind of gave me the energy and say, "Yeah, we're gonna beat the craps out of the Panthers." What do you think I'm talking about? But he was kind of like being sarcastic and kind of giving me that smile. And then when I kind of mispronounced the way to say his name, he kind
Oh,
of said, "It's all good in the hood. Don't worry about it."
and well, a lot of people mispronounce his name, so yeah. I mean, he's cool. He's chill. He's definitely a humble guy, and you saw my podcast. Yeah, I even talked to
Two
him
episodes
about
I've seen
that.
from him.
What's that?
I've seen 2 episodes of you having him on with mostly the Warriors. That's what I've heard of.
Yeah, he's such a cool guy, and I said, why the main question, like, how do you stay humble? He's like, anybody could come for my job, you know,
That's
so I
true.
have to stay humble, and it's like, yeah, um, that's and he's real. He's so real. I mean, he's always like, I seen him with pictures with him and his daughter at like, because my brother's friend Hef, who um he and I were actually in the same fantasy league when I left. I had to leave because I was pregnant with my son. I don't want to get into that controversy. Like, yeah, I had to leave because I was pregnant, and I didn't care. It was fine. They're like, well, what if you have to set up your lineups when you're giving birth, which actually could have happened. But I was like, it's all good. And so Hef, he's grew up with Bonte, and so that's kind of how the whole circle. And so they go to each other's like kids' birthday parties and stuff. So talk about a real guy, like you don't forget who your friends are and where you came from. So
yeah, it's a small world to know everybody else and how they know everything else. But since we were at that game, what was your so we can go on the recap of this game of the Niners and Saints. I know this game wasn't all flashy, it wasn't all dominant fashion, but what really got your attention when you saw that game?
So I noticed that there were, it was definitely a defensive game, obviously. And I was hoping for, more moving the chains. I was getting really frustrated with the low scoring. I thought, because just like the Falcons game, there was I thought this is going to be a trap game. We could easily lose this game if we don't take this seriously, because we're coming off a huge win in Mexico City, and I'm always critical. Everyone knows I'm critical of Kyle Shanahan, and what is he going to bring? Like, we know that Jimmy has his tendencies, and I've been criticized for like, turning my back on him, like, oh, because I was a Jimmy G believer for a few years. And I've never really turned my back on him. It's just I don't want to get my heart broken. So I just want to see, um, because I believe that Jimmy G had his best game of his career in Mexico. So I wanted to see Kyle help facilitate great plays for Jimmy in New Orleans, and I just really wanted to move the chains, move the chains, move the chains. I thought, why is Kyle, what's he doing? Why is this such an ordinary game when we could beat these guys? But considering, coming off a Monday Night Football game and, flying back and all this other stuff. But, defense always shows up. We cheered our asses off. I thought I don't know. I just thought it wasn't flashy, like you said. I enjoyed myself, and the crowd really was into it. I mean, of course, it for defense. Hey, we were just really into it, and I felt it. I felt the last game I had been at was the Seattle game, and we all know what happened that game.
Yeah, swept. That was like terrible. Like
Heartbreak.
That fake punt run for a touchdown. My God.
Well, Trey going down.
Yeah. Oh yeah. The first. Oh yeah. You're talking
The
about
Seattle game.
Oh yeah, where he got hurt. My bad. I must have thought of last year because you said something about. But I guess your last game was like when they had their first home opener. Yeah, that's when Trey actually got hurt, and that's when Jimmy actually got to that next drive. I think the next series, that's when he started blowing up a little on the Seattle's defense, and everything was like, it was a wrap from there after Jimmy started getting the groove a little bit. And then, so.
And I agree with Randy there. We do have issues with bird teams. It's crazy.
But not the Cardinals this year, not the Seahawks this year.
But last season we did, like, or like even with Colt McCoy. But this season we've been on one.
Yeah, but like you said, I agree with you. From the recap of going at that game, it was a defensive battle. A lot of the stats weren't all flashy, but when you look at the overall stats of what Jimmy did, take away the interception, it was negated. I get it. He threw a pick, but it doesn't count. Right. So he threw about 222 yards, 1 touchdown. if it wasn't for that controversial George Kittle holding, which I thought it was holding on a defense, then it would have been 20-0.
Mm-hmm.
But and then what was even dumber was why was Shanahan doing this play on 4th and goal when you could have easily just done a quarterback sneak?
Quarterback sneak. I agree.
Yeah, and Jimmy was running around trying to see somebody open, and he runs it right forward. Like, I never understood that play. I was
I
like
didn't
shaking my
either.
head, like, what the heck? At
And
least a quarterback sneak would have been fine.
Right, and let's not forget the Saints missed a field goal.
Yeah, the kicker 48 yards or something. My God, that was momentum too.
Right. So we definitely held Andy Dalton because, we do have problems with certain quarterbacks that I consider trash, like Carson Wentz. So Andy Dalton could have had like Marcus Mariota, right? He could have had one of those games where, oh my God, we got, thrashed by Andy Dalton of all people. And luckily we didn't because our defense is number one. And then we, surprisingly, the Saints defense played pretty well. I mean, keeping us to 13 points.
Yeah, and it's pretty rare how a team like that would hold us to that amount of points. But I think, to be fair, we were on a very short week. We were coming off of Mexico. I think we didn't have much practice. So I kind of was overreacting a little bit and said, we got to do better than that. But then I started thinking, well, you didn't have enough practice. You were coming off of Mexico. And sometimes those teams have a slack and they don't play good the following day. I mean, the following game. And we didn't sleep. We didn't lay an egg on that game. We just didn't play up to our best potential. But I think the next game, when we play the Miami Dolphins, I think it's going to be a lot better this time around, especially at home. We're just going to be getting more practice. But speaking of the players who stood out to you against the Saints, so when I look at certain players who did a really good job to me was Tolino Hufanga made a key play. If it wasn't for that forced fumble in the end zone, close to the end zone, I don't think I think the Saints would have at least a touchdown or two on those plays.
Yes. I call him Talanoa Lott. Okay? Watch for him to turn it into the next Ronnie Lott. And I hate to say someone's going to be exactly like another player because that's not really fair to the new player that he's becoming and the, legend that I'm saying. But, to call him Palomalo, just because they're the same race or whatever. I don't go
He's
like
closest
that.
to a Whitner. Like, he kind of gives me a little bit of that Whitner vibe because they're both undersized. They both they tackle well. But I think the difference is he has better ball hawk skills.
Yes, and it's like that he's learning and seeing from our three-headed monster, Fred Warner, Dre Greenlaw, Al Shire. You know what I'm saying? It's just such a dominant force. You see it, you want to contribute to it, and that's exactly what he sees, and you saw that from the divisional game against the Packers in the frozen tundra. If we don't have that happen, it's scoreless, you know what I'm saying? Practically. So, yeah. He's just such a dominant force on the defense. Definitely stood out. And the other person, of course, that stood out was Jawan Jennings. Third and Jawan, he's obviously so dominant on the man-to-man coverage. He's just beasting right now and making a name for himself.
Yeah, and his stats are not all flashy. He does a great job as a blocker. That's one thing that Shanahan likes about Jennings is this guy smiles on the field when he knocks somebody to the ground or at least catch on third down plays. If you need a play on third down, that's a guy you can definitely count on. And this one play stood out to me. It looked like it could have been an incomplete pass, but the Saints defender, Tyrann Mathieu, just deflected it, and it just landed on Jawan Jennings' lap, and he caught it. It's like he caught the lottery, like the lottery ticket. You caught it. You ever seen that movie? Or what is it, like the lottery movie where they kind of try to catch the person, and then I guess the ticket fell, and then one of the person catches it and says, "I got it." That's what
I'm not sure if I saw that one. But yeah, that was lucky as shit catch, and it was like I was like, oh, thank God, Um, yeah, it just we're so lucky to have that because it could have been another one of those, oh, Jimmy G doing a Jimmy G thing, because they would have blamed Jimmy.
Yeah, which I
I
understand.
might have. I might have. I
I
might
mean,
have.
Jimmy G is kind of like man, like everybody didn't expect him to come back this season. And
Right.
the injury to Trey Lance was unfortunately, and I know it's kind of been dividing our fan base a bit. So it's
Oh,
like
big time.
when you go on Twitter, that's all you see is a lot of fans like bashing Jimmy G, and then the others bashing Trey Lance. It's like you got to pick a side, or you're not, or in their logic, you're not a true fan, and all this. I'm like, I don't even really pay attention to this, but I do have high hopes on Trey Lance, so I'm not. I'm saying, hey, Jimmy already had his opportunity, but this is his last chance. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, and shout out to Reppin' a Bay Empire podcast saying Nick Bosa. Absolutely. Like he's on 11 and a half sacks
Mm-hmm.
this season. And if he doesn't get defensive player of the year, I'm going to have to do something drastic. I don't know yet. I've been deciding what to do. I'm not going to shave my head. But
Are you gonna look? Are you gonna look for Roger Goodell's address and tell him to fix it? Get it right?
I'm I might have to write
Crazy.
I might have to write a heavily worded letter. No, I'm just kidding. But so I might dye my hair blonde, just platinum blonde, and just be like, "Look," and go on some kind of like crazy, not Kanye rant, but some kind of rant. No, I'm just kidding. But
Yeah.
anyway, yeah, and so Nick really just yeah, and I also want to say that the refs really need to start getting shit right, league wide too, because
Get some judge,
obviously,
get some evaluators. Like, if they mess up a call, they can quickly get it fixed immediately.
because I know he was offsides on that last one, but there was a face mask to Ayuk. There was obviously Bosa gets held on every game,
Like a
and
submission hold. He's getting sleeper hold.
and roughing the passer on Jimmy. I know they called one, but come on, man. Like they never call shit for us. And so anyways, like that's what I want to
Well,
say about that.
oh, speaking of the hit on Jimmy Garoppolo, the D tackle, he should have been automatically ejected. I thought they protect quarterbacks. I thought the league's all about protecting their quarterbacks. They need to set the same standard like they did to Dre Greenlaw.
Exactly, exactly. And it's frustrating as hell because I didn't think yes, he had a big hit, but Greenlaw should never have been ejected.
I mean, he didn't go under the quarterback's knee or anything like that. It was more like a bang bang play where Herbert was just still a runner, but just
Right.
landed into Dre Greenlaw with the hit. But yeah, the lead's kind of been unfavorable.
Yeah.
Like the Kittle holding, that didn't make no sense because it seemed like to
Yeah.
me the defender did that. So it's like, okay,
Yeah.
maybe they could have just reversed that call and let it be an Elijah Mitchell touchdown, but they couldn't do that. So it's like, man, that was so frustrating. My wife was so upset about that call because I tried to explain to her that call was bogus because Kittle wasn't even holding. It was that defender that grabbed onto Kittle to make it
Right.
sound like, yeah.
Yeah, it's just yeah, it's getting ridiculous for sure.
So, speaking of this next game that we're going to have, we're going to discuss this matchup between the Niners and Dolphins. I know this is a history of these two franchises that met in Super Bowl history. They've got a great historic franchise. But when you think of the Miami Dolphins, what do you think of in this franchise in general?
Of the Dolphins?
Mm-hmm.
So they're finally relevant again. And their main source of relevancy dating back then is obviously in the 80s, Dan Marino. He's their Brett Favre or their, you know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, our I mean, Joe Montana, like I always think back to like Joe Montana, and I remember when there was this like old article where Joe Montana ranked all his favorite quarterbacks and put Dan Marino as his number one, not even, ahead of him himself. And so I thought, he's they're trying to get back some glory to their, to somewhat of relevancy. And hey, they've got now Tyreek Hill. They've got the cheetah, and he is fucking fast. I'm sorry, I curse a lot, so I
That's
don't know if
okay.
you allow that on your show
Yeah,
or not.
my channel's ruthless. It's like what they call uncensored.
Perfect. Perfect. So yes, they have the cheetah, and Waddle is doing amazing, and um now they've got some, former 49ers, let's just call it what it is.
Yeah.
They've got Mike McDaniel, who is a, student of the Kyle game. Um, they have made a great name for themselves in this league, and I'm very impressed. I can't take anything away from them at all. In fact, this, in my opinion, is a statement game for both teams. They're going to face the number one defense because, and I was on another show where they were talking, where people in the comments were saying, "Oh, well, they got scraped by the Jets." The Jets, come on, really? Um, and I'm not taking anything away from Robert Saleh, but, we're talking 49ers, like we have, held now the Saints to 0 points. So this is a statement game for them facing a number one defense. This is a statement game for us playing a really, really, really good, highly rated, offensive team. So I feel like, can we shut down, you know, can we shut down Waddle? Can we shut down just their passing game in general? Cheetah, can we shut down their run game? Because if we can stop Tua, they're gonna all they have is their run game. So that's just gonna be interesting, And are we gonna be able to have a passing game at all? Should we is it conceivable to have a passing game?
I think it's all about limiting the passing game, and we like I've seen what Tua can do. He's always kind of been throwing those deep passes lately. So
right.
When he has enough time on the pocket, that guy can throw it to any of those fast receivers. And you were talking about those ex-Niner people, like including the coaching staffs. They got some players, and we actually gave them a gift. We gave them Jeff Wilson. So let me ask you this question.
Yeah.
Do you think we regret trading this guy?
I'm gonna have to say no, except for the fact that now I got a status on my phone that I didn't get to see before I came on. Is Debo playing on Sunday?
I think he's a game time decision from what I'm hearing.
Okay.
Something about his thigh or something, thigh or
The
quad or something.
quad contusion or something like that.
I think he'll probably be okay. I think they just wanted him to just go limited in practice and play it safe.
So if we can't run the ball very well on Sunday, then it could be a regret, but we won't know, especially if our passing, sucks. Like if we can't get the ball to Ayuk and Kittle, and we don't have Debo. I mean, we just have to, in my opinion, run the ball down their in throats.
Yeah.
I
get it. We got to run it down their throats, and their defense is not as good as the Saints. Like you can say what you want about Miami's defense. There's some holes out there. They got what is it?
Who's in their secondary?
Well, Xavier Howard hasn't played his best football this year, but they have a guy that was undrafted and is their third string cornerback starting. And then you look at they might have stacked some defensive line talent. They just added Bradley Chubb and paid this guy some good money out of this trade. Yeah.
So Bradley Chubb, I mean.
Yeah. Everybody was like talking about they may have won the deal on this trade with Trey Lance. I would say they got a lot of the players. I'll give them that. They got a lot of the talent. Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle are pretty much very alike. Like you think about it, they're pretty much the same talent. Like Tyreek Hill is a 1A-B speedster and superstar guy, and then you got Jalen Waddle, who's not too far off because he's very fast and pretty much similar to the same style of play that Hill plays.
And we got to keep our eye on Gesicki too, because they could
solid tight end.
He's like an occasional, and then that other guy, Smythe, whatever his name is, he's running a couple of touchdowns too. So, as long as we keep all eyes, all hands on deck, and don't get that out of sight. Yeah, it's just unfortunately, it might come down to our defense winning this game. But hey, I mean, if we've got the number one defense,
Yeah, the
screw it.
Roman defense, it's all about making statements. Everybody's been talking about how we haven't played any good teams.
Right.
This is going to be an
Exactly.
actual true test. So
This is a statement game.
it's a statement game. Now that we think about this statement game, do you believe? Okay, this is a good question. This one just gave me like it took me a couple minutes to even think of this question. So since this is a statement game, do you believe it's a possibility that the Niners and Dolphins will meet in Super Bowl 57?
I didn't think of this until 2 days ago. And I think it's possible. However, I'm one of those people that think if we were to meet them, I'd rather us lose this game coming up and win in the Super Bowl so that we can fix any mistakes that we might make offensively. I know we can fuck them up defensively, but
I like
I'm
what you're
just,
thinking.
I'm just one of those people that like, okay, if we lose, then at least we know where their weaknesses are, and we already know like and then we'll know what to fix with us. But I don't want to go in and be like, okay, yeah, we beat Miami, blah 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 blah. But then I'd rather go on and get to the playoffs, do what we need to do because it's how we finish.
Yeah. I mean, okay, even if we won, I still think that builds confidence for the Niners. Even if we do lose, I still think it's possible we can build off of that defeat, but it doesn't really affect us in the NFC conference or the division because we're
Right.
still up a lead with the Seahawks on the.
That's true.
But I think
Yeah.
winning this game, it builds a lot of confidence for this Niners defense.
It
Like
it
momentum is
does.
key. So, like, remember when we played
But
the
we're still elite defense no matter what.
But beating a team like Miami is a big statement and it builds
Yeah.
the confidence. And this can be the scariest team nobody wants to play. Like last year when we beat the Cincinnati Bengals, that was one of the best teams we faced all season, I think. And Tennessee was another good one too. But I think when we played the Bengals, they were just a really hot team and they got to the Super Bowl that year.
I'm sorry, I was just reading the comments. What does he mean? Nobody at all?
What do you mean?
Shake 'em up. Shh, don't tell nobody.
Oh, they're
Oh.
talking about how you were cursing. I think that's what they meant.
Oh, okay. Sorry. Okay, I'm sorry. What was the question you asked me? Sorry, I was trying to decipher that.
No, but last year when we beat the Bengals, that was more of a statement win last year because they were actually a team that went to the Super Bowl that year.
Right. And no one really knew how Burrow was going to play, you know? Um, yeah. I mean that certain games are statement games. I mean, like even looking back in 2019, um, our first statement game was playing them at home, playing the Seahawks at home, and
That was
then
the
going into overtime on Monday Night Football. My brother was there. He
kicker.
took my son, and then were you there?
No, but I've seen the game, the kicker. Oh my
Oh
god.
God, yeah. And now he's still in. I'm like, we got to kick her off the street, and then he makes one field goal or extra point, and then he doesn't make the next one. I was like, oh shit. But and then beating them in Seattle. My brother actually went to that game too. That Greenlaw move at the end, was such a statement game. And so like you look at that and then see Seahawks losing in the playoffs. I mean, just like so many things you don't see. I mean, you see with the Bengals being such a young team, and then Miami, yes, definitely. Like they're sort of with Tua being young. Yeah, I would definitely love to take this game. So, but I guess like when you say like, can we see them in the Super Bowl? I think if they lose this game, no, they don't go to the Super Bowl.
I mean, either way, I still think this can be a team to watch out for. I mean,
Sure. Oh yeah, definitely.
we
I mean,
did
they're
beat
a great team. Look at their record.
we did beat the Bengals and they got to the Super Bowl.
Right.
So I
Right.
think it didn't matter about a defeat, but I still think that AFC East is one of the stackest divisions because
Who knew last year and the year before? Who knew they were? You know what I'm saying? Like,
then you got
um,
the NFC East is a better division. The NFC West, you only have two good quality teams, and the rest are just bottom barrels.
we
And
called them the NFC least. Remember?
yeah, and my co-host, my co-host for the NFC West Network, man, this guy's in the basement, and he's talking about how we are so great with our franchise, and he wish his team was in that same caliber level. But like the way he said it best. Like we have high standards, and that's something that we all got to take a playbook from. Do exactly how the Niners do it. But
Moses Martinez.
oh yeah, the OG Moses.
Oh.
Yeah, he's a local guy from where I'm from. Like he
Oh,
said,
okay.
oh, question to your guest. Okay, let's see what OG says. Do the Niners need a new DB coach? How do I apply? Oh, this guy's always a DB guru. This guy coaches DBs, and he's always ranting on guys like Abry Thomas and Lenore. Lenore, he gives him some slack, but he'll get hard on him.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'm not sure about Amber. I mean, that guy, I can't. I think what do you say, the jury's out on him, but Lenore has definitely stepped up,
He
I
showed
think, a lot.
some growth.
And Moses, you better follow me on all social media. GinaReppingindabay. I'm trying to make a name for myself. Um, and and watch my podcast. I had CG on one of them.
Like months
Wait,
ago, yeah.
how's the there's my finger. Okay, I'm more like opposite. And yeah, I had CG on before, so definitely
Like a month
catch
ago.
that show.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you invited me unexpectedly, and I just had to double check my schedule, and I said, "All right, I'm cool. I got nothing."
Yeah, hit up Jed York. Yeah, so I don't know what's going on with Ambry, but definitely Lenore's stepping up and like hopefully he's that hidden gem in certain spots. I think he's definitely gonna, it's kind of like how you just never know with like secondary. I mean, Jimmy Ward's been on the team. I've said this, he's the longest tenured 49er, and he's definitely become one of my favorite 49ers. And you just never know how these young guys are gonna pull out within the team. So yeah, let's fucking go out there and kill Miami, man. Let's show them who we really are. Jimmy G has been healthy. One of my friends, Nick Bodkins, on the Bodkins show, has called me a fucking Jimmy G flip flopper. Look, I'm gonna say it right now. I was a Jimmy G believer, not a stan, a believer. When he came on the team, I was like, let's go, Jimmy, help us out. Let's go to the championship. Let's go to the Super Bowl. And we did after this ACL tear, 2019. We were there. I was at the divisional against the Vikings. I was there at the NFC Championship against the Packers. I cried. It was all like, emotional. And we're like, are we really going to do this? Are we really going to win?
Yeah.
And well, we got as far as we could. I didn't blame him for everything. All right. I blamed also Kyle for in the Super Bowl for abandoning the run game, Jimmy for overthrowing, and defense for letting go those points. I mean, we had we were shutting him down, man. What was up with that? So, I mean, come on, it's a team effort.
Well, to be fair about that Super Bowl game, at some point your defense can hold up for so long. That's Mahomes and that offense.
That's true too.
You got to blame it on the offense because they didn't execute.
Yes. Right. But like I'm saying, it's a collective effort. It was a collective effort. Sherman did take some of the blame, though. He said, look,
very little.
He put some on his shoulders. I mean, and Jimmy G may not be it, but he's who we have right now. So if we got to roll with him, we got to roll with him. I mean, he's all we got. So where do you want to throw in Brock Purdy?
Yeah, like that's the thing. We should be lucky, yeah. Like, we should be lucky to have a quarterback like Jimmy, because if we had Brock Purdy, I think this would have been a long ass season. This would have been exactly the same with CJ Beathard and Nick Mullins. We had to go through that, you know.
I
And
used to ride with Nick Mullins. I was like, "Big Nick, let's go." And then I was like, "Okay, he threw in way too many interceptions." And I was like,
yeah.
"Ah, shit."
Oh, huge shout out to Miss Bergain. Like, shout out to the BGN Sports Media, which I've been part of their proud representative of the Niners podcast, and I've done everything for this network. And her husband Bergain 31 is grinding; he's hitting it pretty big, and it's an honor to work with every one of those
Hit
guys.
that like button, you guys. Hit that like button. And if you can't subscribe to Driving to the Top Productions, that's where I'm at. Repping with Gina G. Just Google me and please watch some of my podcasts. CG's been on it too. And he's gonna come back because me and him are thick as thieves.
Yeah, we're uptight. We met up at a game and we kind of feel that vibe, you know, but we got our own thing going on. But whenever she's got something open, I'll let her know. But her channel is, what is it, GinaReppingindabay. But then there's another production called Driving to the Top, right?
Yes, Driving to the Top Productions. Sorry, I was just told that my son was trying to call me, but it's after school hours, and I didn't realize he was going to still be wanting to get picked up. Like, this is super early. Usually hangs out at Popeyes. But anyway, sorry, Driving to the Top Productions, and it's we got all kinds. We got Browns fans on there that do podcasts. We got Steelers fan. And we cover all NFL like picks, and we do recaps and everything like that. But I do Bay teams, Warriors, 49ers, and I bring on opposing fans. So every week I do like tonight I'm bringing on Miami Dolphins fans, and then I do an overreaction show. So you might see CG back on there next week. I'm gonna do Tampa Bay also, and it's gonna be a lot of fun. So definitely just Google me, Gina Reppingindabay, and you can subscribe. And I'd love to have you guys come on in the chat, and CG comes in the chat too. So we could talk football, and I love sports. I live and die sports, you guys.
Every
Like,
other
I
time,
have no other hobbies.
yeah, every other time when I get a chance, I check out your podcast. It's always been energized. But before we end the show, let's do one more. Let's do a score prediction before we end this.
Let's do it.
So I think it's going to be a very low score. It's going to be very competitive. I say the Niners are going to win 20-17. Nail biter. Robbie Go wins the game, and it builds confidence. What's your score prediction?
I'd like to do score predictions closer to the game. I say 3 points, but since it's getting closer, I'm gonna say this one's got to be more of. I think Shanny's gonna get in his bag. There's got to be some Jimmy versus Tua. There's got to be. So let's
shootout
go.
like Greece.
Yeah. You know what? Let's go. End of the game, Robbie Gold, and then let's say 28, 20, no, 20, 24, 21. I don't know.
Oh, that seems fair. Okay, so we scored 24 points. So I guess Gina has us winning by a field goal with Robbie Gold. I had a low score, but hey, guys, I appreciate her going on the show, and she's got some stuff to do. And, you know, go check out her channel. Very awesome Niners content creator. Very energized fan. Like, you'll never find anybody as passionate as her when it comes
guys.
to the game.
I appreciate And Moses Martinez, thank you. I would love to talk football with you. And CG, thank you so much for having me on. I appreciate it.
Anytime, Gina. Like, you've been respectful, you've been kind, and I just like your energy, you know, your passion for this team, and I just feed off of people's energy. You know, when they feel the same way I feel, we're not alone. We feel like we can do better.
Hell yeah. And it was awesome meeting you and your wife, Margaret, right? That's her name? Yeah. And she's amazing. And I love, posting the pictures and everything. That was so much fun. And I hope to see you again at a game.
Maybe by next year, because my wife is thinking about next year. And I'm like saying, if we can save up next year, then we can do it.
Yeah, for sure. And thanks to everyone in the chat. It was cool talking to you guys. And thanks for joining too. Like, it gives me energy.
It sure does. And for everybody else, CG and Gina is out, and we'll see you guys next on the episode of Ruthless.
Go
And as always,
Niners!
go Niners! And